We're going to be going over query complexity, which is a tactic you can add to your GraphQL server to prevent abuse. Specifically, it stops users from sending really large queries to your server, which could either crash it or just slow it down. So we're going to go over just an example of how you can actually send a large query so you can get an idea of what you're protecting against. So right here we have just a very basic query. We're totally fine with users running this. But we can have it run multiple times, or at least in the playground, or if we were just sending a request to our server, we could have this me query run several times, for example. So we could just copy paste it. Now we're only going to see the results once because we have the names being the same, but we could do a GraphQL alias if we wanted to see what it looked like. So I could say me2, and I could do a colon, and this gets run. So now you'll notice I'm calling the me query twice, and I could pretty much just do this infinitely. And I could do me query 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. So for example, here I just wrote out 5 me queries, and they're all getting run. And so maybe I want to prevent users from sending a ton of me queries, or pretty much any queries. And again, it's not just the me query that we want to prevent. It's someone could put the me query, they could also log in, they could fetch all the users. We will basically just want to prevent someone from sending a query with a ton of queries inside of it. Also, we don't just want to prevent a ton of me's. We want to also prevent things where it's deeply nested, and things can get very expensive that way as well. So that's where query complexity, we can solve some of these issues. Now with TypeGraphQL, there's actually a library that we can add that is integrated with it. And they have docs on how to do it. So we're going to go over how we can add this and protect our GraphQL servers. So here's an example of how it works. So we're going to add complexity to our fields and also to our resolvers, or we can have a default complexity, which we'll see in a second. And then we can actually say, don't do any queries over a complexity of 100 or something. So how we're gonna add a complexity to our fields in a second, but first we need to install GraphQL query complexity. So I'm going to come over here, yarn add, and add this package. Then after that, here's an example of how to add it to your GraphQL server. We're going to copy this validation rules section. So we'll copy this. And I'll come over here, and we're going to go to our index file. And here is our Apollo server. We're going to paste the validation errors in, or validation rules. So validation rules with Apollo server works a little differently than what this library expects. So instead of saying request and then passing in an array, it expects just an array. So we'll get rid of that. You'll see it's also complaining here as well, because we haven't imported it. It's also going to complain again, by the way. So import. And you can see it's complaining again. It doesn't like the types. I just went ahead and said as any on it. So one thing you'll notice it's complaining about here is we need to be able to pass the variables that the GraphQL queries being sent has. And there's not really a good way to access this with Apollo server for some reason. And I looked it up, and it looks like there's actually an open issue about it and hasn't been resolved yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass an empty object in, and so we're not going to have access to the variables when computing query complexity, I don't think, because of this. This estimators part, we just need to import these things. And by the way, I'm just doing control and then spacebar to bring up that little menu to autocomplete it. And both of those things are coming from the query complexity library. So this is pretty much now set up, and we can just run this and see what happens. So it's going to console log what the complexity of the query is when we run it. And you'll notice we have a max complexity of 8, and we said each field is equal to a complexity of 1 by default. So I'm going to go ahead and start the server back up, and then we can start running some me queries and seeing how complex they are. All right, so if I just do the default one over here, I'll get rid of these two. Let's just see what a single me query costs. So run that, we get the result back, And if we go to the log, we can see it's a complexity of 5, which makes sense. We have 1 field here and then 4 fields here for a total of 5 fields. So we set a max complexity of 8 right here. So if we have over 8, so for example here, this is going to be 10, 5 and 5, run it. It's going to tell us we've reached our max complexity and you can't do it. So that's pretty much the tactic that we just like compute what the complexity of the query is using this library. And if it gets too complex, we just say, sorry, you can't run this query. So for example, this, we run it, you'll notice we try to do a complexity of 30 and it just doesn't allow it. So we can start customizing what fields cost. So, because again, maybe the me query is more expensive than another type of query. So I can come in here, I can access the query field, and I can say this has a complexity of, let's say it has a complexity of 5. And then I can actually go on to the user itself and I can add different complexities to these as well. So like for example, maybe this name field takes more complexity for some reason. I can add a complexity of, let's say 3 to that. Or let's make it 4, that way it kind of breaks stuff. Actually no, let's do 3. Let's do 3. That'll make it nice and even. So now what that means is we made this me 5 and the name 3. So like if I just request this, I think it should break, yeah, because this is a complexity of 9. So if I just do these 3 fields, it works. And again, I can just pick which field I want, last name and me, and we kind of restrict what they can do. So I can also do the name. So this should be a complexity of 8 exactly. So now if I do last name, we're going to pop over, or we could do first name, last name. And there you go. You can kind of mix and match to stay under the complexity. But the idea is you kind of assign the complexity to different fields based on how expensive that call is, whether you're doing multiple database calls or something. And that kind of gives you an idea of what you should do for the complexity here. And then how do you actually compute, like how do you set a good maximum complexity, for example, right? Personally, I would recommend just going through what queries you're running on your front end. And let's say you pick your most expensive query and then just base it off of that. So like double it. If you want to give a little wiggle room, compute the complexity of the most expensive one and kind of just double it. And so then you make sure the queries will work for your front end, but then no one's kind of abusing it and doing too much. And you can kind of control it with this. Anyway, this is a recommendation I would add to your GraphQL servers to prevent any kind of just giant queries coming at your server. Now there's a couple other techniques you can also do to kind of solve this problem as well. So for example, you could also add persisted queries if you know what those are. I'm planning on doing a video on that soon because I've been meaning to implement those. If you know what they are, I'll also just mention they have one downside over the query complexity. Query complexity works really nice with public APIs or public GraphQL schemas, like for example, GitHub's. So GitHub has a query complexity that they added on their API to prevent people from just doing giant queries. Anyway, this is the end of the TypeGraphQL series on the back end. Thank you guys for following along. We're going to be doing some front-end videos next and utilizing this API to see how we can use the different mutations and queries we created here.